All right, let's get right to it. I have to figure out why my subtitles aren't working, so we'll work on that another day though. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of update our process for how we log into the ProLUG Lab for people who have been here and know what's kind of going on. We have this login process for people that want to do access and get access to our systems. And actually, I need to update some of this because some of this is no longer right. So user is now ProLUG, and the access into our system is found through the Discord, where you can go and connect into our systems and do the kind of things that you need. If you were to try to connect, you'd use ProLUG at prolug.asuscom.com. That's one of those addresses that exists out there with DDNS. One of the things about it, though, is I always tell people I wouldn't try to hammer on it because you'll get yourself locked out forever. And if I do ever get around to unbanning IPs, it'll just be whenever I get around to doing it. So there's like no rush on my part as far as that goes. So what are we doing here today then? We are, get my little chat up here. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. We'll pull up some Linux here, and you guys can see, whoa, lab is blowing up over here. Kind of what's going on in the environment. We might even restart this session. Might even duplicate the session. Get out of this session. Because it's just a shell, we can do whatever we want to it. Right, reconnect to the system, have a clean shell up, and be able to see kind of what's going on in our environment. Now, we have in the werewolf environment, we have a bunch of servers, and those servers are kind of the back end over here to everything that we do when people connect into the system. So what we're probably going to do is make a second frame over here, and the frame tool is just a little tool to make us able to see kind of the systems that we want to see inside of an environment. So what will happen here, we're going to clean this all up, but if we were to look at this as a presentation, we would see this slide, and then we would now see this slide as the next portion of it, right? In the presentation though, because we don't want to do that right now. The Rocky servers now only exist between 1 and 5, and they go 51 through 55, and then the Hammer servers are 151 through Hammer 5, and then 155. So we don't have nearly as many of those going. We don't have nearly as much of this stuff kind of going on in the environment as we used to. But I kind of have to plan what I'm going to do. Am I going to create some more ranges? So we've got these individual lab ranges for the different VLANs. And then what I do from there is I carve it up for you guys to be able to access the different environments we have. And I kind of have to think about, well, do I want to provide a few more of those and then I can give people like specialized werewolf training? Or do we want to continue kind of down the path that we've allowed people to do, where they come in as, in fact, actually, it's funny, this is actually the root user, and this is actually the root user as well. Oops. I don't want whatever just happened there to happen again. So we'll go here and say root, and people get access into any of these servers based on how they come in through the environment, right? So this is kind of still the correct process for how people get in, but now we've changed the Bastion node. Now the Bastion node is actually directly coming off of this server here, so we can modify this a little. Oh, geez. All the way to there, huh? This whole connection here is wrong. Jeez, it's gonna let me just keep making more of them, huh? Oh my gosh, really? You'd think it would let me grab right there. Can I grab right here? Oh my fucking god. Give me the end of this fucking thing. Alright, fuck it, we're drawing a line again. If it's not gonna work, fuck it. We'll just draw a new line. I don't know why that had to be so hard. We'll make that the same color as this other one for the most part. No, close enough. Alright, so anyways, we got that. How's it going, Kevin, over on the YouTube side? What we're doing right now, I'm kind of cleaning up the lab diagram, and for people that know how to connect into the professional Linux users group, we kind of have these systems that people can access. Currently, I have 10 of them up. They are the Hammer and Rocky nodes, and we just got to decide if we want to make some more of these. Do we want to? I mean, we really have. I mean, we have a bunch of space now. We can actually go look at how much space we have. We got a lot of capacity now. In this environment, in this node, we have, I don't know, looks like about 58 gigs of memory we could use. And then in this other node over here, it looks like we've got about 61 gigs. So we have a good amount of additional capacity on these nodes to kind of get this working the way that we want it to. If we want to add more connections, yeah, I don't even know how I drew that before. Like, I don't even know what type of arrow I used. Oh, it's because it thinks I'm still in the fucking frame. I don't want to be, like, in a frame right now. I'm not trying to work. I see. So it thinks I'm trying to work within the frame, which I am not trying to do right now. I'm trying to work within the... I see what's happening. That's okay. That makes a little more sense, I guess, but that's still weird that I can't. I mean, I need to be able to work without that frame being a consideration. I guess I gotta lose the frame for now then. I don't know. Is that what you gotta do to work on this thing? And then you draw on your frames when you're done, I guess? Like, I don't know. That seems like a weird workflow, but I guess that's what we'll do. All right, let's take from P01 Jump 01, make sure that this also gets over into the Hammer servers, and then again we could kind of clean that up a little bit so it looks a little more like that. That's fine. Sure. Good enough for government work, right? Those are jailed user connections all the way through. Users come into the cluster like this. If you were just somewhere out there in the environment, you would connect in like this. Then you would need a username and a password, or you would have to have a key. And then with that key or that password, you would come in and you would have 10 seconds in your jailed environment to select where you want to go. If you don't select where you want to go, you're about to see me get kicked out. That happens. And if I want to try it again, I will give it a password again. And then, you know, maybe I go to the admin course. And interesting, it said that I didn't have any capacity, so I got to go check that real quick. And then the security engineering course would send me to Hammer 2. Let's go find out why that didn't have any capacity. That's an interesting thing. Var bin Bastion. Why does he have no... What happens when I run this? Let's see what happens when I run this. Rockies are fine. Those are good. Everything's there. Everything looks good. And it looks like we have capacity for 3, 4, 5. And it looks like we have capacity for the Rocky node. So why did we lose? It's an interesting thing. Why did we lose capacity until I just reran that? Why was capacity down right here? That can only happen if those nodes have not been, or if somebody's used them. It's the only time that could have happened. Somebody's in one of the hammers right now, or 2 of the hammers. Somebody's in hammer 1, and then I just went into hammer 3 or 2. So that's why there's only hammer 3 and 4 left for people to log into, because it'll only be whatever's left. I can go here and I can see when the last logins have happened in here, and nobody's logged in here since earlier today to have caused that to be unused, I guess, in that sense. So I think I can get, no, I can't get over there. Let's go this way. Huh. Rocky's seen. Oh, he sees all those. He sees all the werewolf logins. All right. Okay. He sees somebody logged in. And we're going to do this faster. We're going to hit our... Let's just see, let's run servers, but then let's go Rocky. And then we'll do uptime, see how long they've been up, which is some time, 22 hours. And then let's see the, really what I want to see is what's their, like who's on them right now. And King, how's it going? Yeah, we're just working through stuff right now. Looks like I don't really have anybody on any of them, so that's a strange behavior then that we would have seen. What we're going to do right here is we're going to watch for now this. Normally I'll do a while, but watch is fine because it'll be every 2 seconds, because I want to see when this gets reset. So we could go into the Ansible, and I can show you guys what Ansible is doing. But what Ansible is doing is checking to see the state of these nodes, and then it's rewriting this file to its liking. And what its liking is, in this case, is whether or not I have the anybody in the file or anyone in the server, or if the server's been rebooted. But the thing, or yeah, if it's had anybody use it, or if it's been rebooted yet. But the thing is that this, when we just found it, was completely wiped, meaning they were all in use. I had no access to any of them. There was no additional server capacity, right? When we came over here, we did this. We had, whoops, that was not what we wanted. Give me a second here. I gotta go grab that other password again. Try to keep this password in the, right. And then I went to admin. I went to the admin course, and that should have taken me to Rocky 1. And then if I exit and it thinks somebody's in there, then when it recreates that file and I go to the admin course, it should send me to the next one as that file keeps getting worked through for that. Yeah, Lord Processor, we miss Ranger, man. Ranger was a good dog. I was just downstairs yesterday. Who was I showing? I was showing somebody that where he used to kind of hang out and stuff. And yeah, he was a good dog, you know, but everything kind of, you know, moves on. Bundle a hacker. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Hopefully you find what you're looking for. We are just messing around in Linux, and I'm showing you guys the kind of environment that we have for people to connect to, and kind of the stuff that I'm working on and cleaning up, as it were, for these systems and diagrams and just the kind of stuff that goes on in the home lab. People do these, but I just leave them because I don't care. Some of these other things are different interactions and processes that we have running I think you guys can use Ask, but I'm not sure. For sure, Questions still drops things down in our Discord. Let me show you guys something about our Discord. We've got 4,100 and some change people in there. And something to show you guys about that is we have a bunch of events. We always got events coming up. It's kind of one of the nice things. Got a Bash study group on the weekends. This is one of our guys that's put together interview prep and mock stuff. He does interviews for, he is in Fang, or Mang as people call it nowadays. So he's volunteered his time to go over basic interview skills. He actually interviews people that want to talk with him and hear questions about Linux and what he would kind of ask about troubleshooting and ways that you go about fixing things. If you do or don't know different things, he'll kind of walk you through and just kind of see where you're at. And then on August 30th, we're going to have a big talk coming with a professional pen tester that I know out in the industry. I'm constantly seeing his company on LinkedIn telling people to come and work for him. So I'm going to have him come in and talk with you. He's got various industry certs that are kind of valuable. And again, I've known him for quite some time. Expect that one to kind of fill up. We only have 22 people say they're coming now, but as we get closer to it, there'll be a fair amount more people, I imagine. So, all right. Let's get back to this. So we've been able to validate that these things exist, Rocky 1 through 5, Hammer 1 through 5. And what I want to kind of draw out, and I'll put it in its own when we kind of do these things here, I will probably put it in its own little box. Its own little box will be up here. I moved Enzo's diagram to the bottom, so that's why that's not here anymore. But let's make another box up here. And let's talk about then the Bastion process. So what does it look like to run through the Bastion, right? So you come into, some server in my environment, and what does the Bastion look like, right? Like you hit on the outside, you come in from the cloud, right? It's wonderful. I want one of these. You come in from the cloud. And over here, internet. And this internet thing that you're on lets you in. And you come in on port 22, right? So we all know that, right? That's kind of how we connect in via SSH. And inside of this system, right? Inside of this system, you're going to hit some type of thing, typically called like SSHD, right? And SSHD is going to then jail you we'll go ProLUG user jail right here. And ProLUG user jail is in var chroot. That's var ProLUG chroot, right? That's where his jail exists. And he gets to go from there and drop down kind of into, he's got this, oops, I do not want to connect him like that. That's terrible. Let's do this. He's going to connect to var chroot. Sorry. Bastion.sh, right? So he's going to be in there. And that Bastion is only going to give him a few options. Oh, right? And then the options for that are going to be 1, Rocky Labs, 2, Hammer, so security labs, and those are going to be actually maybe a better way to say that is Rocky 1 through 5 servers, and these are the admin labs, right? So when you are looking through our stuff and you see that there's a bunch of labs out there, There are basically the admin labs or the security engineering labs. And if you go into the admin labs, you get the Rocky servers. And if you go here, you get the Hammer servers. Right? And then those get sent along via SSH. Right? And they get to go connect out to... Don't want that. They get to go connect out to wherever they're going to go. So that's kind of how the jail works. SSHD jails. Right? So that SSHD jails the ProLUG user, throws him down into var. Looks like there's a period on the front of that. Var ProLUG chroot. He gets dropped into the only environment. Your whole shell is the var ProLUG chroot bin bastion.sh script, and then that goes here. Now, if anybody needs to see that, it looks like this when you're in that box. This is actually it. Oh, and we're out of capacity again. So that is not... This is not the behavior I would expect right now. We're going to rerun this. We're going to see what it actually shows. It's connecting to them both. It's seeing everything. Checking for users. It's finding them all up. It's getting a return code of 0, meaning that that file, it's fixed here, but now there's no security engineering capacity. So, nothing. So why is it writing that as 0? Sorry, we're going to have to go dig into what this process is doing. Who W and then if Rocky's in host, it's going to define these. It's going to write that out. Pipe that through integer. Check. Standard out. It's got a 2. Rocky has a 2. They're all integers. Oh, hold on a second. So why is it sometimes showing 2? Oh, it's because of the... Yeah, so that's my fault. That's because 2 things were in there. Let's go look at this real quick. Yeah, so it's wiped back to those ones being active and that one being inactive. So... hold on. Why is that? So for like hammer 4, standard out 2, and then in our template, where the fuck did our template go? There's our template right here. Our template should print those things out and then said if Rocky in there and the host user check is defined, and it is, and the standard out is an integer equal to 1, then we drop this value in there. And for some reason, those servers are not equaling to 1. Or unless there's somebody actually in those servers, which it's very possible we don't have any capacity on those. It's very possible. But the way we would know that, nope, that's not the case. There's only one connection through, and one of them's from me, and then the other one is also from this system coming back in, and then somebody else is from outside connecting. So one machine is connected from the outside. It's connected to only one host. That's an interesting problem. Why does this keep... Now there's the rocky ones back. So they're back healthy again, at least some of them. Meaning that if I were to come back over here, and I were to exit one of them and try to connect, I would be able to connect to at least one of them. In the admin course, I would get sent over, yes, sure, to Rocky 3. So that's good enough for now. We're gonna do some other stuff to clean up. Yeah, Master My Fate, we have them all. It's possible somebody's in there using them. I did have people testing earlier, so. Yeah, Atticus, I appreciate that. Yeah, peace to Ranger. Yeah. Ranger's chilling, I'm sure. But for us, we have, all right, so we have the ability to log in. You know, and there's some weird spinning on this. I don't know exactly why. So like in this case, only Rocky 2 is available. But then when this runs again, yeah, only Rocky 2 is available right now. And then maybe after a little while, Rocky 3 should pop back up because I'm not using it anymore. So we should see. So what we're doing right now is we're watching a live cat of the file that gets built every 1 minute out of a Ansible run against that node. It only takes about 5 to 10 seconds to run, so it's never going to back up every minute. Yeah, so 2 and 4 are back up. So, yeah, it's possible that there's some usage of those, and that's fine. I mean, I was actually, I think, technically in one of them over here. So I was using those a little bit. But let's do a couple of other little cleanup things here. Let's vi our etc Ansible hosts file, and we've cleaned those up. So we've got all those boxes there. We don't need the remediate boxes anymore. That was from a different project. Let's go here. Okay, so we're back through there. We'll give this like another couple of spins here. Let this run a couple more times just to see. And then we'll continue on. So if we want to keep kind of working on that, we can. But I kind of want to plan out a little bit like what we're doing in the lab environment. So again, we have a fair amount of extra capacity now, and we can think about, you know, do we want to give some of that capacity over to some other servers? Do we maybe want to use Kali? Maybe we want to do some other stuff. I'm not sure. Master My Fate said my Linux system keeps failing to wake up from sleep. Couldn't fix it no matter what I tried. Did you try not letting it sleep? Because that used to be the fix for a lot of that. Back in the day, I remember if anything went to sleep and had a hard time coming up, we just wouldn't let it fall asleep anymore. Sometimes that's the best thing. But yeah, I guess we see. I mean, you know, obviously we want to save power if we can or whatever, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Oh, by the way, real quick for people, because we have this Bash study group at 10 a.m. on Saturday, some people on the other side of the planet said, hey, can we have a similar event? So this one's on, where do they do this? Down in study groups. So we'll create an event. We'll say down in a voice channel. We'll call that voice channel study group. And we will make a late night bash study, right? And we will run this on Saturdays, right? And we will do it at 10 p.m. So this will be late night for people that want to do stuff late. It does repeat weekly on Saturdays, and it'll be late night bash workshops for people that want to improve their craft. I don't know. We'll change it later, and we'll figure out who's going to run it, because I talked about running the first few, and then if we get some other people interested, I know we got people on the other side of the planet who might want to run it. So, you know, guys that are already in, like, that's not late to them, you know. For us, it's late, but for them, it's early. So we'll store this. We'll save this. Create the event. So all of the events in our Discord are free. You guys can go to any of them, but now we're going to do like a late night bash study, and we'll start. So the bash study group will go hang out in there, and they even do some live scripting, and they pop in and try to solve some problems and stuff. And then we'll just copy whatever activities they're doing and run through some stuff. And I don't know, we'll just have fun, right? Because like a lot of this stuff is fun. I mean, on top of being something that you can get a good job in if you want. By the way, to that point, obviously you can hang out in there and do whatever you want. We have a beginner start here section. This has like beginner Linux stuff, a bunch of YouTube stuff mostly, but places for you guys to hang out. We got a bunch of certs that are not related to us, but are very related to the industry. I'm a big fan of you guys going in and picking up some certs and, you know, buffing up that resume if your resume doesn't look too good. Then we got our Linux sysadmin course. This is a free course, as is the security engineering course. They're actually the ones that require that lab access. And then for people that need lab, here's the books. So there's books that are free as well. And then if you need that lab access, it says right here how to get lab access. I should probably pin this. But if you drop your key here, anybody that wants to connect to ProLUG at prolug.asus.com, asuscom.com, you can do that. Password's the same for people that know the password, and then you can drop your public key in here, and I will move the key into the correct location for you guys to get in. People were testing that earlier today. That is working, so you can get into any of these systems, well, the ones that are available, and you can do whatever you need to in there. They are werewolf clusters. They are stateless nodes, so when you leave one of those servers, I always ask you guys to reboot it, and it will clean up and come back up as a brand new clean box all over again. So that's available for you guys. That's just one of these things that we kind of offer around here. One thing I have to do, since I have rebuilt the werewolf cluster and I modernized it, because of that, we need to get in there and I got to go through the whole Linux sysadmin course again and make sure all the labs are working. So we're going to crash through that here in the next couple, probably this weekend, because the wife's going out of town. Actually, she's going out of town on Thursday, so I'm going to have a whole bunch of time. Amber Walker, yes, Ranger did pass. Yep, July 3rd. We tried to get him to the 4th, but he just couldn't. He couldn't get up. He was having a bad day, and he like, we had him so on meds, guys. He was pretty done. Yeah. So Ranger's gone. Look, yeah, we're out of capacity on one again. But if I go look, let's go look. Well, I mean, one like Rocky 3 is being used, but the other ones really aren't. Huh. Because all I do on that box, all I do on that check is this right here. Oops. The check is actually... The check is just who, and then word count -L. Huh. If it's only one, then it prints it out. I need to fix my logic there. I have something wrong with my logic where it's often not one, but it should always be just one, because it's always just the one connection. Huh. Why would there not be? And then why are the hammer ones not experiencing it? There's, so now Rocky 1, 4, and 5 are back on that iteration of it. So why are 2 and 3 not there? I might need to... It's the old style right there. Oh, you know what? We might smarten the script up a little bit. What if we said... Because the way that will know... No, that's only here. That's only what they're doing from here. That doesn't help us. This could help us if, obviously we'd need a wide enough terminal to see it, or we'd have to set the terminal. We could look locally, and as long as the name was there, don't include it. We could do that. That would change our logic somewhat. We'd have to modify the way the Ansible is finding its answers. All right, it's not a perfect system, but it's a limping system for now, and we'll have to add to it as we go and figure out what the difference is. So, all right, let's go back over here. I always like to draw a little. If we're talking about the internet, I think we should draw the internet. And that's a good enough part of the Bastion process. At least the part that matters. Yeah, the jail goes here. And then the jailed process all the way through. You're unjailed over here as you connect into my system because it's your system, so I can't jail you out there. I can jail you the entirety of the time you're in this box, which is you're coming into, so Bastion process should be up here. And this is wholly contained in the P01 jump 02 server, right? So this is completely contained within the P01 jump 02 server. There's a ProLUG server jail, or ProLUG user jail at var ProLUG chroot. In there, you only literally have 3 commands. We can move all this down, probably. You only have 3 things you can do in there. This might not matter to really anybody, but oh shit, hold on. We could say that there's really only so there's a bash, there's a curl, and there's a SSH. Those are the only commands that this user has. Take this, Control C, Control V. This one will go right here. I don't know why that thing wanted to go like that, but let's move it there. There we go. And maybe that's useful in some way to know that's the only commands that are there. But you're locked into a shell, as people that saw me connect to it. You're kind of locked in there. Maybe I think that looks a little better. Right, and then this is here, and then this can be connected there, and then this just kind of goes off into space because it's going to those servers doing wherever, you know. And then this is over to actually the best way to represent this would be here, and then say this is lab capacity servers. You know, whatever servers we have the capacity to allow people to get into. This would be lab capacity over here, which is Rocky 1 through 5, and then Hammer 1 through 5, as shown right here. Which right now we're back up to 4 of them. Woohoo! A whole bunch of them available, but less of these ones available. Which again, no rhyme or reason to me right now what's going on with that. But I'm gonna have to figure out the rhyme or reason to it. But for right now, who even knows why they're sometimes? Man, I gotta think about that. Why would they be? Why would they read different? Now we can log the Ansible, and we can go look at what Ansible was seeing, much like how we can run the Ansible, right? We can run the Ansible right here. We can run what's being used to create that. It's right here. This is the actual Ansible that creates that, and we can see it. We can go look at it. Like it's hitting all the nodes. The nodes aren't down. It's getting into them. And then what we would expect for all the ones that could be written to, we would see the number 1. All the ones that couldn't be gotten into, like Hammer 1, which is 2 right there. Oh, hold on a second. Wait a minute, guys. What if I told you that I'm still running it over here? So if I'm still running it here, that's stupid, right? Why would I run it in 2 places? So on tap, because this was where we originally ran it from, right? So this is now deprecated, so that no longer needs to be there. Maybe that makes this work a little better over here now, because there's no longer a chance of them conflicting. That could very well have been, yeah. I mean, because during the entirety of that run, they were both connected, so that would have counted as a connection. And yeah, okay, I could see that. I could see that being a problem. Also, I'm going to move this up a little bit just because it bugs me where it is in that. It's over chat. I didn't like how that was over chat or behind chat. All right, that's a fine, like, how the Bastion works. If you guys need more, if you're like, well, that's interesting, but like, what's a Bastion and how do you build it and all that kind of stuff? I have labs on it, and the labs show you how to do it. They're over on Killer Coda. If you need any labs on the Twitch side, you could do !labs. If you're over on the, oh, that's interesting. Whatever, I don't care. If you're over on the YouTube side, I don't think my !labs works, but if it does, you could use that to pull up the Killer Coda, or you just go to Killer Coda. That's the best place for labs, probably on the web. We try to have some labs available for you guys, obviously, but our labs are very specialized to getting into Linux as an admin and doing, admin type tasks and stuff. So, all right. What else do we have? What else do we have going on around here? King, you said you're just starting out. How do I feel about Occupy the Web Linux Basics books? I'm sure they're fine. My thoughts on it are like this. If it were me trying to get back into this, I would go do as much free stuff as I could before I paid for anything. And all the free stuff I know that's really good is on Killer Coda. there's probably some other good free stuff out there. I don't want to speak to the detriment of anybody else, but there's definitely some good stuff. If you can get those books for free, get them. But I would tell you, not everybody knows. Well, so for people that don't know if they want to do Linux professionally, definitely spend some time doing stuff for free before you spend any money. But for King, if you know you want to do this stuff professionally, then that's not that big of a jump if you can get that book for like $10 or $15 or something. That's not that big of a deal. I will show you guys, actually, there's a really good Humble Bundle right now. If you go to Humble Bundle, right, they have a really good bundle up on Linux. In fact, I was thinking of getting it because it's got, the reason I would get it is because it's got these really good eBPF and performance tools. Whenever Brendan Gregg is mentioned, he's got a really good website on this stuff, but he's definitely somebody you should listen to. Some of the other guys swear by, what other book were they swearing by? These ones for sure. There's some Linux stuff for cybersecurity, which is probably good. I am very much familiar with this guy right here, Mark G. Sobel. We used to teach out of his book at ITT Tech back in the day. He had a CentOS 7 book that was pretty good. I think he had a 6 and a 7 book. But they looked very similar to this, but it's just this is a good bundle for most people, especially for these two right here. The system performance stuff by Brendan Gregg, really good. Quite a few people I know swear by it that I respect in the industry. So that's also something to think about, right? If you're going to spend any money. Is the first one a good book as well? Yeah. I don't mean to slight anybody or leave anybody out. I'm positive that that's a good bundle for what you're getting, for what you're paying for sure. Any one of those books I think would be worth that value. So, but that being said, for anybody that's starting out, go do as much free stuff as you can. Even before you convert a box over and build Linux, if you go Killer Coda right here, you could at least get, I know that's bright, but you could at least get into, here's this guy Scott teaching Ansible, right? This is all my stuff here, right? And then, you want to go back to just our labs. There's all of our Linux stuff. We got 36 Linux scenarios. I have more to build too. In fact, I was thinking I'm going to try to get us over 100 total labs by the end of the year. So then, these labs, how much do they cost you? Literally, you just go click on them and they're free. And they drop you in a shell and they get you doing Linux right away. So I'm a big fan of that. Mine are designed to walk you through things you need to know about a system. So we're not doing this lab right now, but if we were, we could just come in here and just say, all right, do we know what version of Linux that we're on? Do we know what kernel we're on? Do we know the uptime of the system? And maybe some implications about the system, and then what's the way that our system started or was called, right? And then we could start asking ourselves a bunch of questions about that, and that's where we go into like I have I don't know, probably 20 plus hours of like Socratic Linux where we just ask ourselves questions like, do I know how this works? Do I understand what that's doing? VMstat is giving us some information. Do I understand what it means to be a runnable or a blocked process and what the implications of that are to the system? So I can kind of do and know a whole bunch of things about this system just by watching these different commands, and then I can modify the way the command works and go, well, how does this work differently without that 5 on there when I just did the 1? And what happens if I move the 5 over here? Excuse me, what's happening here? What's the behavior that's changed with the set of commands, whether I'm doing only, whether I'm giving it 2 arguments or 1 argument, and what is that first argument? Well, that first argument is the increment of time, right? This was every 1 second. This was every 1 second. This is every 5 seconds. We saw it going much slower. But the second argument over here is given as the end. How many times is it going to do what it's going to do, right? Jason, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thank you for the follow. We are just hanging out. We're not working too hard right now. I got a college class to teach actually in an hour. I'm teaching on data, kind of like data security in the cloud, data privacy, some of the regulations that exist. And then I'm also going through a bunch of labs with my students as well. So Different types of labs, but still labs, right? Like still a bunch of stuff. So I'm doing that in an hour. And I just wanted to hop on and talk with you guys a little bit before that. Let you guys know that we've got a Discord, a place to kind of hang out. Also, you know what's interesting? I don't see my Nightbot is not working. Is Nightbot like not working anymore in general? I don't see Nightbot doing nothing. Anyways, we got Discord right here. There's a Discord link. That's also over on the YouTube side. On YouTube, you got like a little description that'll also tell you about the Discord link. But yeah, thanks for the follow, Malbec. Again, hopefully this stuff's useful. So, you know, we're not doing these labs, or I'm not doing this lab right now. I was just kind of pulling that up to show you that there exists a place for you to go and ask yourselves questions and see if you understand what's happening. And if you didn't know anything else about what was going on here, if you didn't understand, you know, the types of interfaces we're looking at, that's fine. You know, that's not, when you first look at something, you don't know those things. But could you probably surmise that the number 0 means that not much is going on with the system? And then, you know, could you maybe add in some commands where maybe then I could figure out how my system sees the network around it? And there's just, that's actually in a different lab where I make you do those commands. But it's like, there's just all these things that we can start to figure out. Because a lot of times as systems admins and then systems engineers, is we set values and then we check values. Those are the two things we do in a Linux command line, right? We set values and we check values. So we set the values at some point in the build of the server, and then I come along later, and it's almost like I'm looking at the scene of an accident, or I'm forensically like trying to deduce what has happened here. And now I'm looking at like, okay, this system doesn't communicate out. Why doesn't it communicate out? Well, I see a network here and I see a route, and then maybe I ping my route, so 172.30.1.1. I think I can ping that, and then I go, okay, can I ping outside of all these networks? I know that there's this default range out there. There's this default box that you can always kind of ping and get DNS from. And then I say, well, can I ping Google? Can I get a name resolution on a system? And there's all these questions that we can ask ourselves, and that's what our Socratic Linux sessions are about. We sit around and we just ask ourselves things. And I mean, some of the guys sit around and drink, and we just kind of hang out and work on like, what do we know and how do we know it? Because you never know, like, and I don't mean this in some like weird esoteric way. I mean this like in a real way. You never know what the next call is going to be about as an engineer or an admin. You never know like what problems the user. You guys ever seen like those videos where like a goat's stuck in a hole and they pull the goat out and it runs 2 steps and falls right back in the hole? That's basically what a user's like, right? Like that's like, we deal with that in IT in all kinds of ways. And I'm not even trying to be mean. That's just how users are. They just get themselves stuck in the weirdest positions, and then we got to come along later, and they're like, well, I don't even know what happened. It's just all different now. And you're like, oh, all right, well, let's get you back to working. Thankfully, most people that are in our command line are going to at least be a little more power user-ish than that. But yeah, so anyway, so like in our big scheme of things with the lab here, with the home lab, is, you know, we're going to have the ability to look at the, you know, users come in from the internet, they hit P01 Jump 02 now. So now people are actually connecting in from P01 Jump 02. We no longer, the P01 Jump 01 box has actually been deprecated. He's been deprecated. He still exists in the network as my jump box, but I don't use him anymore. The Bastion node is P01 Jump 02 now. He's the node that you guys come into. This is the process that you see happening with him, and then you get sent over into the lab environment. So we've been looking at that this whole time, and that's kind of my plan to build out. So now the question is, do I keep building out over here? The original Rocky nodes and then the Hammerblock nodes are part of the same Werewolf cluster. They exist inside of VLAN 1 on 192.168.200.0. That's the mapping of their part of our network. I have the primary internal network of 192.168.11.0. Don't worry, people are like, oh, you're going to leak your internal. It never leaves your network anyways. It's all natted. And obviously, since I'm giving you guys the external address to my network, you guys would be able to get in there anyways, right? As long as you understand how to connect to a Linux box. So you guys can get into these labs, right? These labs are available. People that got here later, you just go in the Discord and you go in the ProLUG Lab environment and you just send over a key. You can always give your public key out, guys. You never, ever, ever give your private key to anybody. I don't care if a soccer mom calls you. I don't care if your grandma calls and says, "Oh, I need a key." You know, no. You never give anybody your private key. I don't care who they are. You only give them your public key. But you can spread your public key far and wide because there's no way mathematically to go back to the private key from it. It's a one-way encryption, right? So just so you guys know that. And then if you put that key in, then you don't need to remember the password anymore when you connect out here. And again, both people now, admins and security, connect through the ProLUG user at prolug.asuscom.com, which is our dynamic DNS on the outside, right? The DMZ has actually changed. I need to modify this. The DMZ now, whoops, get back where you were. This guy now moves down. And now that is the DMZ technically, only up there. DMZ, for people newer to the industry, is your demilitarized zone. It is basically the external, and it's a blast radius really of things that can get into your systems, exposed out, right? What might be a more clear way to draw this would be the DMZ off to the side. However, logically, it does still belong inside of this primary network. It's the .246 address of this network, so that's fine. It doesn't really matter how you look at it. Externally, it's whatever this mapped address is over here, right? The prolug.asuscom.com, which isn't super hard to figure out what that is. We only have one C router. I don't have a second. I had planned to build a second C router, but I never did. The one was enough for what we were going to do. But we do have to decide, because a lot of people that have seen how Werewolf works, and a lot of my kind of regulars, they kind of want to get some Werewolf under their belt, some Werewolf administration, so that they can practice with it and other stuff like that. So my thoughts on that are, I have to then set up different routers and different networks with different VLANs for that to work. And that's not that big of a deal, right? Like setting up a Linux box as a router is simply just some IP table work. And it's pretty straightforward to do. I would just have to modify this diagram to then take in the capacity of the extra labs. And I'd probably squish these ones down a little bit and add them to the right. That would probably be how I'd draw that. And that's not that big of a deal. That's not that much extra work to do. But it might be, yeah, maybe that's what I'll work on. Is I'll take this, it's our physical environment, right? Our physical hosts, and move this over here, and then maybe I'll start squishing this in, this box over here. Start bringing this in, and then yeah, that might be the play here for us to kind of close this down, because some of these we don't actually. Some of these we're not actually using right now. Like I've taken these guys out of the environment. These guys here, they're out of the environment for right now. Kafka Event Bus is not up and running right now. So for now, we might just take this stuff here, our hammer block stuff, and move it down. Yeah. And hammer block range, he doesn't really get his own range anymore, so maybe we just go with, that's fine. That's good enough for government work, huh? And this really should connect to 1 because it goes anywhere between 1 and 5. So that's probably a little better way to draw this here. Right, so that things fit a little better. These guys are about to lose their platform they're standing on. Yeah, there we go. All right. So now as I add in more routers, more Linux box routers, we'll be able to add them and their new networks to the right. And you might say, how many networks can you actually have in your home network? I can do as many as I want, right? Because I know networking. But for other people, I guess you kind of can get as many as you want in there. I would say like a soft limit would be like 4094, but we're never gonna. We have 2 right now. We're probably gonna go to like maybe 5 or 6 if we start adding in some werewolf capacity. Doing that will then mean that I have to. It'll be a lot of work to get the werewolf stuff together for me to train people on it, right? So that's why, for some of you guys that have been around, you know that I'm not going to just open that to the public. This stuff is all open to the public. Anybody can connect to these. Anybody in our group can connect to these. But for people that want to connect into werewolf, I'm going to have to limit that down to people that have participated and finished something. Because we have, guys, we run these courses, right? The courses are free. We run them down in Discord. And basically you just have to, the participation is the cost, right? You just have to participate. But I will probably limit my, going forward, I will probably limit down how much we, any of the werewolf stuff will be limited by who's been here before. I can't do that for everybody, right? It's too much work. Too much work for everybody who's not going to show up and finish it. Let's put it that way. It's always a hassle. Let's move this over a little bit. Hammer block range. We didn't even really use this as hammer block this time, but that's fine. Doesn't really matter that much how we ended up using it. All right, network 1 VLAN, or VLAN 1. There we go. Yeah, it's a little smaller now, and probably move this over. There we go. Because we shrunk it down to fit essentially 1 page when we do it like that. Yeah, that works. Yeah, well. There we go. This is my alert for my college class, but I got a little time. Okay. Yeah, it's not a bad little drawing. I gotta work on it a little bit. It's not great, but it mostly has the real implications of how connections occur within it. So that's fine for now. Then where do I go from there? Yeah, King, definitely Killer Coda, man. You could spend hours. Like, I got ready for my CKA and my CKAD out there. Now, I did have my own personal Kubernetes cluster. I still will have it in my home lab. But I can tell you that I got so much hands-on. There's like probably 150 labs of Killer Coda for just CKA. Just CKA, just if you want to do that cert. And they have their sandboxes. So you could go to the sandboxes. I always show people you can go that and open up somebody's GitHub on their notes, and somebody will have like the things that they practiced and the things that they think are relevant in their GitHub, and you can just go into a little command line, just be doing kubectl commands until you know how to deploy an Nginx front end and know how to connect your network policies to your environments and all these different types of things you would feel comfortable doing, and that's kind of that's where I see like real value in that. So that's kind of good. Ultron said you can decide when I comment on Lauren's page. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure who Lauren is. But hopefully whatever it is useful for you. Yeah, not sure what that is. Schizophrenic said, "Is this in Discord?" No, this is just this drawing. A different version of this drawing is up in Discord, but I can drop this one up there if you guys want. This one's kind of the most recent one. Let me grab that. Yeah, I'll drop this in as maybe just an image on the like in the ProLUG Labs. Boom. ProLUG Labs. Let's go drop this in the environment. I am eventually going to have this automated, and I won't have to do this. I haven't written it yet. So that's there. It looks like we have a fair amount of those things going. Yes, there you go. That's kind of what the current lab setup looks like. And then the other part, which is the bastion, is the connection up top here. That's the bastion process, right? And then for my guys that are more familiar with bastions, because they've maybe done the security engineering course that we run, this is what that looks like. This process here. Right, so like I mean, guys, I try to be very open kimono for you. Like I try to show you guys exactly what I do, how I do it. I try to not hide anything from you guys. Like I think there's like in my mind and in my world, there's plenty of engineering to go around. Like I don't think by giving you guys the stuff that I know how to do, I'm gonna run out. If that kind of makes sense. That's kind of my thoughts on a lot of this stuff. Like I don't think there's only so much. And if I compete with one of you guys one day for a job, good, fucking good. That's good for all of us, right? Hopefully one of us gets it, right? Like because you're gonna be competing with other people for jobs too, right? This is life. So, yeah. So, anyways, I'm just kind of drawing these out as kind of like the things that we do. Let me take these guys. I don't even know what they're saying, but we're gonna put them up here. They can stand by this. Some of the other guys did this. Some of you guys drew that. I didn't draw any of that stuff. We were doing this on stream one day, and all of these different things, and then different interactive processes and questions of Discord. Questions of Discord is actually working. If you guys did an exclamation mark Discord, sorry, exclamation mark question, and then asked me a question, that would go into Discord, right? And that would go through my system. It would get pushed over, and it would go in here. It would actually go into the YouTube questions right here, right? And it looks like Nightbot finally woke up. Nightbot hadn't been doing anything for a while, but it would actually drop it in here, right? So if you did, so King, if you said exclamation mark question and then you did that whole question you just did, it would drop down here and then people would answer your question, presumably. In fact, I want to have bounties where my people that answer the most questions maybe get like a prize at the end of the month or something. I kind of want to do something like that. I just haven't planned how I want to do that yet. But yeah, for people that are just hanging out on stream and stuff, you can ask questions directly into the Discord, right? And that process actually super simple, right? I just needed a webhook, right? This comes in, streamer bot. For people that care about this stuff. Streamer bot. He's going to capture that. He's got an output. He's got an output webhook. So variables. It's like username. He's got stream or like source. I can go look them up if you guys want to know the actual variables. It's like username, source, message, and actually message is raw. Message raw input, I believe, is what that is, right? And then that goes down from there, damn it, to a, right? This one is a webhook. That's gonna then pop webhook to Discord. Guys, all engineering is the same. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what type of engineering you're doing. It's all the same at some point, right? You're just drawing diagrams for whatever the hell you did. This goes to our, what was that channel? Right? Drops it in questions channel. Something like that. I don't know. Looks something like that. It goes, drops it in right here. Boom. All right. Anyways, yeah, guys, I gotta get off of here. I just wanted to hop on for a little bit and let people know that we're still working on stuff. The group's still going strong. We had a lot of people this weekend. We did a lot of stuff. I have streamlined kind of the way that the home lab works. Obviously, you see this kind of crushed in. More and more stuff happening. I'm going to probably add some more capacity for different things. My next set of servers that come out might be maybe we do Ansible. Well, Ansible automation is the next course. So I do probably need to put some Ansible components out there. It's just so much stuff. We'll get it going. But all right, guys, I got to drop off of here. I appreciate you guys coming by. King, ask that question down into the Discord if you want. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. I think the wife's coming home right now too. So I hear the wife. All right, I'm gonna drop off of here.